Are you tired of chasing unpaid invoices? What if SuiteDash could handle it for you automatically? Welcome back to Clear Sky Technologies. I'm Isaac, a SuiteDash Sensei certified expert. And today, I'm here to show you how to build an automated invoice follow-up system so you can stop sending manual reminders and start getting paid faster. Let's dive in. All right, here we are in SuiteDash at the main dashboard. And right now, I'm going to build an invoice follow-up automation system so you can see exactly how it's done. First things first, we are going to look at the native controls within SuiteDash to see if it will meet our needs. So let's go to the Office menu here on the left, on the main menu in the desktop, and then the Settings sub-menu item. On the left, under Office Settings, you'll see all the different areas that you can customize. We could spend all day on this, so we're just going to look at invoices for today. Scrolling down the page, you'll see a section here called Email Notifications. We're particularly interested in the last two toggle switches here. The last one here shows Due Date Approaching Reminder. This will send an email reminder to the client this many days prior to the due date of any open invoice. Okay, so that's a pretty good automation. I think we're good with that. Then payment due reminder. Now, here natively we have just this one option, which is every X number of days we can send an email for every Y number of occurrences. In other words, with these settings that we have now, the client will get 2 email reminders over the course of 8 days after the due date. All right. Well, but maybe in our case, when they're late on an invoice, we need to actually suspend their service or cancel their service. So this isn't going to allow us to do that. So we've got another way to handle that. So I'm going to toggle this off. Right? We'll leave the approaching reminder on. That's fine. We're just interested in what happens after the due date for now. So then I'll come down here to the bottom left corner and click the Save button to lock those settings into place. All right, next we're going to look at invoices. So I'm going to create an on-demand invoice generator that will, well, we'll just take a look at the on-demand invoice generator here. Okay, let's create a new one. You can tell we're doing this live, right? All right, I call this, we'll just call it service invoice. It doesn't matter a whole lot. This could be for anything, really. And we're going to add a new item. This will be the service fee. This will be for the best service ever, of course. And that does not come cheaply. So that'll be $500 for the best service ever. And we'll add that line item to our invoice. Okay. Now, as we come down the page here, here's one more required setting. We want to mark whether this invoice should open as open or as draft. Well, I'm not going to need to review anything before it goes to the client, so we're safe to mark this one as open. All right. Now, relative due date here. I'm going to put 14 because for me it makes the most sense that after I apply the automation to this customer that their invoice will be due 14 days after that, okay? And then we can go ahead and toggle this on as well so that the client gets a notice that their invoice has been raised. But remember this number for now, this 14, this is important. I'm going to click in the lower left corner to save this invoice generator. All right, so the next step is we're going to create the schedule. You'll find schedules under the automations menu and then schedules here in the main menu on the left. Let's create a new direct schedule. And we're going to call this invoice follow-up. We want CRM targets, not staff. And we want the based on date to be based on the day they were added to this schedule. We'll leave all this as is and just click create. Now let's add some automations to this schedule. Here you can see the automations button. This is where we add those items. We click on the big plus button here on the left to add a new automation. We are going to trigger this 15 days after. Okay, remember the based on date is the day they were added to the schedule, and this automation will fire 15 days after that. Why 15? Because our invoice is due in 14 days, so this makes this the first late day, right? So I'm going to call this step late notice. This is purely an internal name. Clients will never see this. This is just for us to remember what automations we've included in this step. So I'm just going to send an email to Target, I think, and we'll just say late notice and say, oops, you're late. Okay, and then save that. That's probably enough for now. We just want to remind them. In that email, in your use case, you might want to add a link to their invoices. You might want to add a link to schedule an appointment, whatever it is that makes sense to you, right? So I'm going to click in the bottom left corner here, the create button, in order to save that particular automation item. Now, let's add another one. Let's say it's now 30 days. Oof. 30 days past due and they haven't made a payment yet. Oops. Okay, so now we need to suspend their service, right? So in the automations, we'll do this just like we did before. Click here to add our first automation. I'll send them a notice, and we're going to say service suspended. Say your service has been suspended due to non-payment. Something like that. Whatever other instructions or information you might want to give them in there. But then you'd want to add another automation. And here's where I pause, because this will be unique based on your industry, your business model, your unique business setup. Everything is going to be unique here. So suspending a service might look like removing them from a circle. It might look like removing them from an LMS product, maybe removing them from an email audience, maybe adding them to a circle like suspended users circle. If you need to interact with any software outside of SuiteDash, you may need to fire a webhook to tell that software to suspend their service, right? This is the point where you would handle all of that, is right in this automation. Okay. For our purposes today, we're not going to actually suspend any service, but we will send the email notification, you know, as a placeholder, as it were. Okay. And then again, click create in the bottom left corner to save that automation item. Great. So now we've got our schedule with two automation items. It's got a late notice, and then it actually suspends their service 30 days after. So now we need to go back to the invoice generator and watch what we do on this. So on invoice generators, our on-demand invoice generator, we are going to edit this service invoice. Here's the thing, when they make payment, if they make payment on this invoice before the due date, we need to ensure that they don't get suspended or canceled, right? Obviously. So here's how we do that. On the invoice generator, when the invoice is paid, this is where we are going to remove them from the schedule. Just like that. And then save. So what this is saying now is as soon as they make payment on any invoice raised by this generator, it will remove them from that invoice follow-up schedule, which is exactly what we want, right? If they get removed before that first automation fires, they will never see that first automation, right? Okay, so we save that. That's the back end. And then there's just one more piece to make this all work together. We're going to go into automations and auto templates. And I'm doing this purely as a demonstration. The reason being, that you can fire this automation from anywhere in your system. You could fire it manually. It's all going to depend on your unique use case, how your business flows, and how you want to operate, essentially. I am going into auto templates just so I can get to this screen, so I can show you what we're going to do, because you'll see this same screen anywhere in the system when you go to add an automation, right? Okay, so we are going to add our on-demand invoice generator. So this automation, mind you, this is when we are raising the invoice for our client. Maybe they've just signed our contract. Maybe they've just got off a discovery call with us and said, yes, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Okay, great. So now we're going to raise that invoice in this automation. So this actually creates the invoice. And here's the kicker. Now we also need to add to schedule invoice follow-up. Remember, at the same time you raise that invoice, you also need to add to the invoice schedule. Then when they make payment, it'll remove them from that invoice follow-up schedule so they don't actually get those suspension notices. And that's all there is to it. Let me know if you found this video helpful by hitting that like button. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more SuiteDash strategies just like this. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, or if you just need help with SuiteDash, check out the description below for ways to connect with me directly. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.